Hey guys, this is Jea, and welcome back to another episode of the Late Night Talks with Jea Estrada, the podcast. And for tonight's episode, this is diary entry number 17. And I actually want to talk about something that's very much relevant to what I'm going through right now, because technically this is my diary. I want to talk about the unfamiliar peace. Why does peace feels unfamiliar? And it's something that I really want to talk about right now because I also want to use this episode as a reminder to self whenever I felt that it feels like it's weird that it's peaceful, and something that I can always go back into and listen whenever the enemy would try to rob me from my peace. I have some guide questions that I'll be using to help me be more structured this time because I just got back into podcasting. Sponty isn't my thing anymore. That's why last episode was kind of all over the place. But yeah, I I kind of want to try to be a little more structured this time. Why does peace feels unfamiliar? Because chaos was the norm. I kind of want to start with, have you ever noticed yourself or catching yourself that whenever you feel peace, it feels like something is coming, or you're becoming suspicious, or you're trying to anticipate an upcoming chaos? I actually did not know how addicted I was in chaos not until I experienced true peace. So, growing up, anxiety became a way for me to cope up with life. In order for me to function, there should be that stress, there should be that pressure that would make me function, or else it would feel weird for me. For example, if there was no chaos at all, if there was no pressure at all, it would feel weird because I feel like I no longer have a worth, or I will no longer have a way to exist because there's no pressure. So I kind of got addicted with the pressure, and I didn't know how chaotic that would look like, especially when I encountered a lot of wounds, a lot of trauma along the way because of that. And one thing that I realized is that something felt unsettling if everything is so calm. Something felt weird if people would think that nothing is happening, or there's no big event, or nothing fires up my adrenaline. Probably. What did my body feel when there was nothing wrong? How did I know that nothing was wrong? Well, first of all, when I entered Bible college, there's a lot of pressure still. Honestly, there's still a lot of pressure, there's still a lot of stretch happening, but in the quiet times, especially during the term breaks, that's when I kind of feel the peace, in a sense that there's no outside pressure, there's no deadline, there's no early call time. So when my body felt that nothing was wrong, it doesn't know how to function. Because apparently, I was just coping up with life, trying to survive every single pressure that life would throw at me. Did I ever subconsciously look for something to fix? Honestly, yes. There was a lot of time that I would catch myself looking for drama, looking for something to do. Peace felt like boredom for me, and my brain would just look for something chaotic, something unsettling, something that would trigger anxiety. Not because I crave anxiety or I crave pressure, but because growing up, I was taught that if there's no pressure, it means I'm being complacent. If there's no pressure, it means I'm taking life for granted, or I'm being a brat. So that's why I kinda always look for something to fix. because I always wanted to make myself useful. I would always remember hearing that line. Make yourself useful. Make yourself worthy. Make yourself important. So if I'm not doing anything, I am not important because I don't have worth, or my worth was tied to whatever I am capable of doing. And if I'm not doing anything, I would be tagged as lazy, I would be tagged as doing nothing, or just wasting time, or whatever. I would always subconsciously look for something to fix, just because I didn't realize growing up my identity was tied based on my performance. When did I realize chaos used to be my normal? Just in Bible college. Honestly, yes. In Favor College, I realized that, I learned that because there were moments in Favor College that we will be taught how to sit in silence, be still, and experience God's presence. And because I am not doing anything, I'm literally just waiting for God to make His presence be felt. There's a lot of unsettling moments there. It's like a lot of thoughts are going in my head. I was asking myself, how can God would talk to me? I'm not trying to talk to Him. And it's so sad to know that that was how I was raised. That was my default. When things felt peaceful, I would already anticipate what's coming, or what would disrupt my peace. It's like as if peace is a luxury that you have to earn, or you kind of secured yourself already, that you no longer have to prove your worth already. That's why you're gonna get peace. That's how it was. It was very transactional, and it was sad that that's how it was for me growing up. So if you ask me what kind of chaos was normal for me, emotionally, yeah, it's more of the emotions, the emotional dynamics that I have to survive every day growing up. It's kind of not the usual, because there was family tension. Of course, there was that. And I was born the eldest daughter, the eldest kid, the eldest granddaughter. So there's automatically a pressure for that. And if I would catch myself, or people or my family would catch me not setting the bar high, it's like as if there's already that pressure of, oh, you need to do good because the younger cousins or your sibling, your brother, is actually looking up to you. It is as if I can't commit mistake, so that's the pressure. And that if I'm not making myself useful, I'm setting a trend of laziness in the family. What roles did I play in chaotic seasons? High performer? Peacemaker? Probably not, because I would always steer things. I would always call out something that's in my eyes looks unjust or doesn't make sense, because I'm a very why driven person. Of course, there's something good about that, but at the same time, the elders do not appreciate when you call out something that doesn't make sense, because for them it felt like it was a disrespect, when in fact I was just really asking why. But yeah, and because of that, I kind of sound like the fixer, because when I see something that's wrong in the system, I call it out, I try to address it, or I even just ask question. And because of that, I also become high performer, because if I call out something, I gotta make sure that they will not point it back to me as if I have to make sure that I'm perfect or I'm foolproof, just so whatever I'm trying to put out there or call out with them isn't something that they could just reverse Uno card to me. Did chaos make me feel needed or significant? Both. Because like what I've mentioned earlier, my worth was tied to how productive I was, how of a performer I was, how of a high performer I was, how perfect my moves would be. I mean, of course, I was never a perfect child, and my parents would tell me, we didn't ask you to be perfect. But sometimes there's a disconnect with the words and the expectations. So I grew up trying to get their good graces. Does it make me feel needed? Yeah, because if there's chaos and I'm capable of fixing it, or if there's chaos or if there's pressure and I play a vital role in it, it means I'm needed. And if I'm not needed, I feel like I'm worthless. So that's why unconsciously I find myself looking for chaos just so I could prove to them that I matter. What did I believe about myself in chaos? I think I confused adrenaline with purpose. Majority of the time I was relying on my adrenaline. If it's not exciting enough, it means it's not worth it, or I don't have a purpose in it. Growing up, I needed to be strong. Being calm is being considered complacent. So it felt like I was losing my edge. Like someone's better than me. And I should not be like that. I was raised to be competitive. Like if someone's better than me, there's that pressure that I have to be better than them, or that I have to compete with them. Because if not, I'm being complacent and I'm losing my edge. So I'm no longer special because someone's better than me. And because of that, I didn't know who I was outside of problem solving, outside responsibilities, outside of what I can do. Growing up, when people ask me, who am I would always answer it because of what I do, not because of who am I really. It took me favorite college to realize and to understand what does being me would really mean. I remember the original name of this podcast is Just Jea the Podcast. It's so ironic that I've been using that term Just Jea. I thought it was me trying to belittle myself, that I am just Jea. But then as time goes by, I realized Just Jea is actually a way of life. Just being me. I don't have to be whoever. I could just be me. Just the daughter of God, not tied to whatever she does, not with her achievements, not with what she accomplished in life, but basically just me. And it's just so weird that it took me 20 plus years for me to really realize that. Although I was told that a lot of people went through their 30s, through their 40s before they had that realization. So I guess I'm really blessed that God met me and made me understand what does it mean to be a non-problem solver, or that to have an identity secured in Jesus and not secured or not tied to whatever I do. So now I want to talk about what peace actually feels like. Because I just talk about like all the backstory of who I was and what drives me. And now, what changed recently that made life quieter? Honestly, this is my favorite part, especially when I realized that my worth isn't tied to what I do. When I quit my corporate job, when people ask me what I do and I no longer answer what's my job or what I do or my career, that's when life starts to feel quiet. Because no matter what other people would think about me, especially like family, relatives, thinking, what did I do with my life? Did I waste my life? Because I'm not chasing careers I'm not chasing corporate. I'm not trying to climb the corporate ladder. Although I stopped chasing, my life felt quieter because I no longer have to prove my worth. I no longer care whatever they're going to assume about me. And when I stopped thinking about it, that's when life really became quieter. And peace feels like waking up, not worrying about what other would people think about me. Waking up and realizing that God loves me no matter what. Not because he tolerates whatever I do, but because as my day goes by, I am slowly learning the alignment with God, that his will becomes my will and his will be done in my life. I don't want to sound preachy about this, but there's a difference between assuming that God tolerates whatever you do versus you aligning yourself to whatever God's will would it be. And how would we know what God's will be? Well, of course, there's the Bible. That's our life manual. Not to impose, but to be convicted by the Holy Spirit. And if you act based on your conviction, there is peace. I remember I just had the recent conversation with one of the pastors in Favorite Church, and she told me that if you really heard from God, there would be peace. You don't have to convince yourself, you don't have to convince people around you. You would just know that there's peace. And somehow I had a moment of trying to convince myself that I really heard from God, not because I really don't think I heard from God, but because aside from God's voice, there are other voices that I was listening to. And what I appreciate about what that pastor told me is that I should learn how to not listen to other voices and just really focus on the voice of my shepherd, which is God. Because yeah, life could be very noisy. Even in church, it could be very noisy. It's not that they are all supposed to just mimic what God would say, but more of like, of course, we have free will. We can say what we want to say. Although, sometimes it's not that we're trying to confuse people, but more like, that's just life. And I just love how that would really give me comfort in this season of my life, is because yeah, if I knew I heard from God, there should be peace. I should not try to convince other people. I should not try to convince myself, because at the end of the day, I just obeyed. Why did it initially make me restless? Oh yeah, that's right. When my life started to be peaceful, I felt weird. It felt like I was bored because people around me are busy hustling everything, and there's just me sitting, and that's it. And that felt like weird for me. I became so restless because I feel like I am not helping out. I feel like I'm not fulfilling my purpose. But then again, yeah, did I feel bored? Definitely, because I feel like, what am I doing with my life? And then I realized, oh, I'm going back to my old self, where my worth is tied to my performance, or my worth is tied to what I do. Unmotivated? Not so much, because before there was burnout, and now I'm just learning how to live a balanced life. Disoriented. Probably a lot of disorientation happened because I didn't know how life would look like if it's peaceful. Like there's no pressure. Oh, I mean, the pressure is still there, don't get me wrong. It's still so much present in my life, especially even in family. There's always pressure. But the fact that I am learning how to not be driven by pressure, it feels disorienting, because initially it felt like I'm not fulfilling my purpose. But then again, it's a new environment, It's a new thing to learn. My nervous system didn't know how to relax. So peace felt like a withdrawal at first. I didn't know what to do when there was nothing to fight. Because I'm always on the fight mode, not the flight mode. So it's always been rah 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 to that. And when there's nothing else to fight with, it's just peaceful. All of a sudden, I don't know what to do. And it felt weird, but it's just so funny now that I'm talking about it because before it was just really disorienting, and now it's like, yeah, that was me before. I would chase drama, I would chase chaos, I would chase heavy conversations, and then all of a sudden it's quiet, and I'm like, oh, it's quiet. What do I do now? So, if I'm gonna ask myself, maybe especially at the time, who I am without chaos, if I'm not surviving, who am I? If I'm not fixing things, what is my value? Before it was so hard to answer, but now it feels and it sounds cliche when I say, if I'm not surviving, who am I? I'm just being myself. I'm just being Jea. If I'm not fixing things, what is my value? I'm just being the God's daughter. It sounds cliche, honestly. Especially if you're gonna hear it from a perspective of someone who is always performing, who's always on the go, who's always busy with things. And then you would hear someone would say, "Oh, I'm just being God's daughter. Oh, I'm just being myself." Like, what do you mean? Yeah, it feels weird if you're not in that position. But when I learned how that would look like, I honestly don't know how to explain it. Because it feels like it's a revelation. It's something that you would just know when God makes you experience it. If I don't get the thing that I am praying for, of course, it hurts. Of course, there's grief, there's pain. But at the end of the day, I didn't lose myself. And that's what's important. Because sometimes, or it's something that I learned, is that sometimes when God would grant us the prayers that we're praying for, the trade-off is ourselves. We lose ourselves in the process. So whenever I would face rejection, that's how I would look at it. Maybe I'm being protected, or not maybe, but like God is protecting me from losing myself. So whenever there would be hard situation, especially now that I have my peace, I know how peace feels like, I know how peace sounds like. I am more intentional on how to guard my peace, and that includes not losing myself in the process, not losing my relationship with God. So yeah, I just realized that I was never meant to be a warrior 24/7. Contrary to what the world would say, God's strongest soldier. Yeah, you could be God's strongest soldier, but you still have your rest days. God will not make you feel like you're always fighting every single day. And you can always tap to your rest. There's Sabbath, and you can always rest in God's presence. It's easier said than done, I know, because I am also struggling with that. It's not like I perfected how to rest. But there would be days that if I'm tired, I can just cry and tell God, Lord, I'm tired. Father, I am tired. And I would feel the presence. And God will comfort me. And that would activate my softness. And being soft doesn't mean I'm weak. Actually, being soft in the middle of everything is actually bravery because you trust God enough that He will take care of you despite your softness. That's why you're okay to be soft, you're okay to be vulnerable because God will take care of you. And I think one of the biggest lessons that I learned in Favor College is that God is teaching me how to live. the life that you have given me, not to endure the life that you have given me. Easier said than done, I know. Majority of the things that I told you today, or majority of the things that I'm telling in this podcast tonight, sound superficial if you would actually hear it. But tonight, I'm actually telling this to myself, to my future self, if in case there would be days that I would forget how God has been so intentional to my life. Remember this podcast, Jea. Remember this moment that you were sharing, that you're supposed to live your life and not endure it. Of course, endurance is part of spiritual muscle that you can do, because like being a Christian is hard, especially in this day and age. But that doesn't mean I can no longer live my life. So for my, spiritual processing about being peaceful, one of the questions I have here is, did I associate peace with laziness? Yes, before. It's like what I've said, I thought peace means being complacent and being complacent means being lazy. Did I feel guilty resting? A lot of times I felt guilty resting. But I learned how to have boundaries, especially at work, especially even in family, that if they think that I'm just being lazy because I'm resting, well, I try to talk to them about it, but if they do not listen, I am clear with my boundaries. I'm still gonna rest, no matter how that would look like. How does scripture describe peace versus how I experience life? For some reason, when scripture says that peace transcends all understanding, the peace from the Lord transcends all understanding, before, that sounds absurd for me. But when I experience life and the pressure, but I already knew the source of peace, which is the Prince of Peace, which is Jesus, it really does transcend all understanding. Like, what do you mean you can rest? What do you mean you can have peace in the middle of chaos, in the middle of your life, pivotal stage of your life, and you can rest, you can breathe? What do you mean? But I experience it. What is Jesus teaching me about stillness? Well, it's in the famous Proverbs, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not in your own understanding. That is such a powerful verse that I always have to repeat to myself, that trusting God means He'll take care of it even if I'm not doing anything, especially if He tells me to be still and know that He is God, that He is in charge. There was a time in my life that I used to think being busy means being faithful, especially because I learned how to use the gifts of the Holy Spirit. So there was a point in my life that I was really rah, and I'm like, I gotta use my gift because God gave me this gift. If I don't use it, He might take it away, things like that. So I got busy along the way, and then not realizing I'm losing myself in the process, because I became my gift. My gifts became my identity, and that's so wrong. So when I catch myself doing that, or when people around me or my leaders caught me doing that, I'm just so glad I'm surrounded by a lot of self-aware leaders and sheep-aware leaders, that they have strong discernment. They were able to guide me and call me out, and I'm just so glad that there's that. And I was reminded about being faithful is not tied to what I do. And peace doesn't mean God left. it might actually mean that he settled something, that's why it's peaceful. He dealt with it himself, that's why it's peaceful. And all I just have to do is be still. So that's like the daughter identity, the daughter of God's identity. It's like you telling your dad, Dad, oh, or Dad, I want this, or Dad, this person is doing something wrong with me, or whatever. After telling, your dad would say, Stay there. Then you're gonna stay. And it's peaceful because you already took care of it. So, yeah, being a daughter would really literally feels like that. And maybe the miracle isn't breakthrough, it just means stability. Sometimes miracles doesn't always have to be so big and grand. Majority of the times miracles are not as big and grand as how we used to think it was growing up. Sometimes it's just stability. Sometimes it's just you showing up because God took care of all the other obstacles. And peace always reminds me, just like how Jesus slept in the boat in the middle of the storm. I like the part where it tells us the difference between spiritual fire and emotional turbulence. Because both looks loud and rah 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 in the distance. But spiritual fire is you have peace because it was God who's firing the flame. Emotional turbulence is more of like it's you trying to make chaos or something. So yeah, it's a good way for me to really remind myself, am I having a spiritual fire or this is an emotional turbulence? Some other questions I want to answer are, what am I grieving as chaos leaves? What am I grieving as chaos leaves? I think grieving the part that, oh, I'm no longer in charge, because growing up I was always in charge. Growing up, I'm supposed to fix things and be the knowledgeable one. So when the chaos leaves, it means I'm just me. I'm no longer tied to my competence or whatever. It feels sad, yeah. But what am I gaining in exchange? I no longer have to be always on my toes. I no longer have to be always, ready for fight, ready for whatever. I can just be the soft girly, the smiling girly, the chill girly, the calm girly that I never thought would actually be able to exist. What does safety feel like now? Safety is being secured in Jesus. Like, no matter what happened, God's got me. Am I learning how to receive instead of strive? I'm in that season right now, especially after 2 years of favorite college. I'm learning how to receive, and really now I'm discovering how I can apply the things that I learned in Bible college in day to day. Not because I have responsibilities to fulfill, not because I have ministry responsibilities to fulfill, but more of like just really receive and be a daughter in this season. It doesn't mean I have to be like this for like the rest of my life. No, it's more of like I just really have to get to know myself after 2 years of favorite college. Which is why I went back to podcasting, because this is something that helps me process my real self outside any obligation, outside any responsibility. So now, I think I'm gonna end with some reminders that I want to continue to repeat to myself every time. That whenever I feel like chaos is gone and it feels uncertain, I want to remind myself that I'm detoxing from survival. I am not bored, I am healing. And maybe peace feels unfamiliar because I've never lived here before. So, yeah, that's all for tonight's episode. Thank you so much for listening. Or if you're watching, thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something from this because this is something that I really want to continue to remind myself that I no longer have to chase chaos, and peace is the new life because I'm with Jesus and I know how to trust Jesus. So yeah, I hope you learned something, and to future Jaya who will be listening because she's going through something, girl, you got this because God has always got you. Don't worry, you can do it. And to anyone who's losing peace, who's losing hope, you got this because God always got you. You just learn how to trust Him. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. Until the next episode. Once again, this is Jaya saying good night.